Go back to one of our top stories now. Every year we celebrate Workers' Day. Now with the current unemployment rate, scores of young people are out of jobs. As we celebrate May Day, we speak to young people about barriers they face in gaining employment, what government and business can do to solve the crisis, and how we can nurture and upskill young people. To discuss this further, we have a panel discussion to chat to campaign manager at DG Murray Trust, Hlumela Dyantyi, and Clerah Sethole from Youth Capital. Thank you both so much for your time. We do appreciate it. Thanks for joining us here on eNCA. Maybe I can start with you, Hlumela, about what Workers' Day means to you as a young person, where we have almost over 60% of the youth in this country unemployed.
Honestly, for me, it's just another public holiday, one of the many public holidays we have in this country. It represents frustration as young people, and it's a reminder of the 9.2 million people in this country, young people who are looking for jobs. It's completely frustrating, and I really believe that we need to sit down as all sectors and learn to come up with solutions for this youth unemployment crisis we're in. Because right now we cannot honor or celebrate Workers' Day when we have so many young people sitting at home.
Clerah, I want to also get your perspective on what Workers' Day means to you as a young individual. When I asked Hlumela what it means to her, she sighed, and it was almost a distressed sigh, because I think a lot of young people in this country feel that way, that we aren't being looked after, that there are no job opportunities, and there's a lack of upskilling the young people. It's another Workers' Day. Many would say it's one Workers' Day after another, and there are no proper solutions. What does Workers' Day mean to you as a young person?
Well, as a young person, I think my emotions are quite the same as Hlumela's. With so many young people not employed, Workers' Day is not relevant to us in any way. So the feeling is mutual. It doesn't mean anything to us because it's not benefiting. A lot of us are not employed. A lot of us are not workers. So there's nothing to celebrate, actually.
Hlumela, you've written quite a lengthy piece where you have advice from a former job seeker for unemployed young people, and the anxiety of, you actually start off by saying you constantly wake up checking your emails every morning, the anxiety of having applied for hundreds of jobs and not getting any response back, or getting a response back saying you are underqualified, you don't have any experience, or they're just not looking for people right now. There's a lot of anxiety that comes with looking for jobs, but also applying for anything that's available because you're so desperate for a job.
Definitely. And the thing is also, as a young person, you are sold this dream that you should go to school, pass well, go to tertiary, pass well, and then you'll be guaranteed job security, you'll be guaranteed a life as a valuable citizen that adds contribution to this country. And then you wake up and you realize that that is not the reality. You and all of your friends with your qualifications, with your graduation certificates, are sitting at the police station trying to certify each qualification after each ID document. You're applying and applying, getting new regret to inform yous every day. And it's a dehumanizing experience, to say the least, because especially when you had hope, you know, when you completed your qualification. And I really speak to how we need to look at revising how we look at the job-seeking experience in this country, from how the recruiters in this country are not using zero-rated sites like SAU.mobi to post jobs on there. Data is extremely expensive. Transport to go to interviews is extremely expensive. Finding a shirt, something as simple as buying a shirt, is $149, you know, at a normal store, to go and clothe yourself so you can look presentable. And I really think that we need to operate from a place of how can we assist young people? Okay, let's say you didn't find the perfect candidate and you weren't happy with them. Why can't you send back the score sheet that was used to assess the candidate so that they can see that this is where I went wrong as a job seeker, and that so that they can improve how they present themselves in future. We need to look at the school curriculums. Why are we not teaching young people how to not echo exactly what is in their in their CV? Your cover letter in your CV should not be exactly the same. Why are we not teaching young people to mention the company that they're applying for, to present themselves accordingly, even writing their email as an application? That is the first impression that they have for you as a candidate. So yeah, I speak to different ways that we can help to streamline the process of recruitment for young people. And I think we really need to look to each other to find these solutions to deal with this crisis.
And you touch on very important points here, Hlumela, because I think we actually forget how difficult it is to apply for a job, but also to actually get to that job interview. It's transport costs, it's looking presentable, it's knowing what to say, it's making sure that you get there. How are you going to get back? There are just so many issues. And maybe, Clerah, I can ask you about government's intervention when it comes to creating sustainable jobs for the youth in this country. We just had the Labour Minister on where he said the young people must just speak to government. And I feel as though we have been speaking to government for the longest time. But what are the actual solutions here, and how can government come in and assist with job creation and creating those sustainable jobs? It's one thing to have, these programs and these youth programs to assist the young people, but it's another to create those sustainable jobs. How do you think government can do more to assist the young people in this country? I think we've actually lost Clerah, unfortunately. Hlumela, I hope you heard my question. Maybe you can answer with regards to what government can do with regards to assisting young people.
I think she's coming in. I'm not sure, but I can touch on it. I think if we look at the fact that there are organizations like Youth Capital who are really looking at speaking to young people and hearing the voices of young people and asking them what needs to be done, and working on research reports, for example, that look at the real cost of job seeking with the Center for Social Development in Africa, and seeing that it's costing us as young people almost 938 Rand per month to look for jobs, and this involves transport costs, starter costs, as you mentioned. So we really need our states to listen to organizations like Youth Capital, to work with us in civil society, and to listen to the voices of young people. It's one thing to say that the young people just need to talk, but are you creating platforms to enable young people to talk? We really need more zero-rated websites when it comes to the application process, because data is a huge problem. And we even need to look at our HR policies, for example, regulating the intellectual property of young candidates. I've heard so many stories, and I've actually experienced one myself, where you're asked to do a practical assessment for a role, and you spend hours doing this practical assessment, and then you don't get the role, but then you see that either like traces of your work being used by the organization without consent from you, or compensation for that note. So we need those policies. We need more zero-rated websites. We need our government to work with civil society to help listen to the voices of young people. And what we also need is we can't look at youth unemployment in isolation. We need to look even at our university programs. A lot of university programs limit candidates in terms of their skills. And I'm finding that a lot of roles now that you apply for are a combination. For example, I studied journalism, but a lot of the time I would find roles that involve like aspects of IT, web development, which I didn't necessarily have the full skill set for. Like, we touched on it as part of my degree, but then when I'm looking at roles and this is what they're requiring of me and I don't have that, it's extremely frustrating and disappointing. So we really need our state to work with all sectors to hear the voices of young people.
I think we have Clerah back. I think it was just a signal issue. And Clerah, I was asking with regards to government intervention and government needing to do more to assist young people to get these sustainable jobs and to create these sustainable jobs and to have this conducive environment where we have these investors that come in and create these jobs, but also just to allow young people to be in a space where they can be employed, because sometimes it becomes very difficult. What is your view on this? I don't think Clerah can hear. Clerah, let me just double check. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Maybe if you can just give us your perspective on government's intervention and government's need to do more when it comes to creating jobs for young people.
So what we always say is the best way that the government can help young people is by the government going back to the ground and talking to those young people. The best way we can find solutions is by talking to young people and going back to those organizations that assist young people. That's the best way we can do that. We do appreciate that they have initiatives like SA Youth and Sethole 1 Million, but the short-term experiences is just not conducive and it's not working, because you get short experience courses. In the long run, you don't have proper experience, and it's short term. You get a job for 6 months, and then what happens after that? And there's a lot of young people who don't have, employment. We want jobs that young people can actually stay in and gain experience and grow in. Do you understand? So the best way that the government can assist young people is by going to organizations that help young people to find employment. That's the only way they can do that.
Hlumela, maybe we can ask you a question with regards to, I don't want this to be a doom and gloom interview. I want there to be a glimmer of hope for young people watching this and thinking, but what do I do? We know that there are no jobs. We know our economy is suffering because of COVID-19. But any advice to them, any programs, any initiatives that you think could help those that are desperately looking for jobs?
I actually do mention in my op-ed when I do address young people that I don't know what to say to you that you probably haven't heard before, because I know with the experience of job seeking, the moment you start applying, you're just fed with an influx of do's and don'ts and of the application process, and they conflict each other, and you're just like, I don't know what to listen to, and that is frustrating on its own. But I want to tell young people that this is not the end. This is only the beginning for you. I want you to acknowledge how far you've come. The fact that you're able to even be in a position where you're looking for a job means that you're able to pass a certain level of education to get there, and you have the mind to get to where you need to be. I want to encourage them to continue to upskill themselves. There's great initiatives like NYDA has a couple of free courses, zero-rated courses, and also the Activate Academy has zero-rated courses where you can learn skills such as like updating how to properly present your CV, and they also teach you in various languages. Language is a huge thing for me, so I think it's great to be able to learn that in a language that you understand. And they also teach you leadership skills. They teach you how to look into side hustles, seeing opportunities for that, so that you can make an income even while you're in that process. And I want us to not give up, even when you do get those practical assessments that take up a lot of your time. Don't do it half-heartedly. See it as an opportunity to maybe learn a skill that you don't have, See it as an opportunity to perfect a skill that you already have, The experience itself is dehumanizing, but it's not the end. And I believe that if we really continue to work together to find these solutions, we can really eradicate this crisis.
Yeah. Clerah, maybe just your last words with regards to any advice, any programs, interventions that you know of for young people watching and desperate to get into the job market.
Okay, the first one that I would like to say to young people is volunteering is important. Volunteer, volunteer, volunteer. It's about getting skills. It's about getting the knowledge that you need to further, and also get involved with programs like Youth Capital, and they can teach you on how to shift gears and how to look for a job, on how to think smart about the things that you get involved with. Don't lose faith. Believe in what you have and start where you are. The little that you have can take you a long way. So use what you have where you are. The little that you have can actually, take you somewhere. You don't have to start big. The smaller you start, the better. But just be able to do something for yourself. Don't just stay there. There's a slang that says, it's exactly that, especially for young people who stay in townships. Let's create small jobs. Let's create small hustles. Don't undermine your hustle. The little that you have can go a long way in making sure that we contribute to our economy.
Great. Thank you both so much for your time. We really do appreciate it. That is Campaign Manager at DG Murray Trust, Hlumela Dyantyi, and Clerah Sethole from Youth Capital. We appreciate your time this evening. And as you can hear, the problem persists, and hopefully there are tangible solutions to all of this.